love my body. I love myself. Yeah, yeah. And I love making 10 grand a day. Welcome to the Shaft Show. And we are having a beautiful collaboration today with this very handsome man, Kelly. And we're going to be talking about, are we in a simulation? But before we do, make sure you like and subscribe and share this with your friends. The Shaft Show is a platform to help you become more awesome, allowing you to have the tools to actually love your life, love your body, love yourself. Our mission on the Shaft Show is if we could change one person's inner monologue from I hate myself to I love myself, then we get to save one person's life. Now, isn't that nice? And that's something that we've been doing for almost a decade now. So, Kelly, I'd love for you to introduce yourself.
First of all, what a pleasure to meet you. This is very exciting. It's very inspiring to see souls like yourself doing such incredible work. I'm Kelly Nazat, and I've been in private practice for over 35 years in the healing arts and counseling, guiding. My background is in shamanic arts, and everything else has sprung from that world of the kind of applied mystic, and I love it. And so I'm at a point right now where I'm working with a program called Elemental Alchemy in my company Soul Lab, and it's the same venture. It's honoring everyone for who is wanting to make a better world for themselves and for all of us, and helping to bring what I've learned and what I've been taught and all the teachings that have been brought to us from the beginning of time to help others find their way in this amazing mercurial modern world we're finding ourselves.
And that is a beautiful, beautiful mission. I love that. So today's episode is all about, are we in a simulation? Is reality real? So we're going to start off with the main question. This is a beautiful one for you. Are we in a simulation? And if we are, is it a single player game or a multiplayer game? That's what I want to know.
What a great question. Short answer, absolutely. Yeah. And in
Really,
terms of being a simulation, I
he
don't
is
know.
100% sure. This is great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and there's, it's certainly, Carl Jung was asked about his belief in God and belief in archetypes and everything else. And somebody said, "Do you really believe all that?" And he says, "It's a strange question. I don't have beliefs. I have experiences." And at this point in my life and in this work, I can honestly say, from my experience, yeah. And I think the underlying assumptions based on that differ. And I think that's where it goes from just code to mythology. We all have our beliefs, in other words. So, in terms of single player, multiplayer, you know, working with clients, I do believe that many find it to be a single player game, and but eventually you'll figure out it's got to be a multiplayer game or it's no game at all. I mean, there's nothing in the coding, especially for human existence, that allows for single player games to exist uh, very long. We are collective creatures, and it's part of the code.
Very interesting. So, I mean, the whole simulation theory goes back to many, many philosophical and religious beliefs, like the term Maya in
Mm.
Hinduism talks about the great illusion. This is just an illusion. Everything is vibration. There's the philosophy of, shadows in a cave. Everything is an illusion. And obviously, we've advanced now to a level where we play computer games, and I was brought up on Star Trek, so the holodeck is a thing, and obviously the Matrix. Now,
Yeah.
the question for me is, okay, we are in a simulation because once you break through out of the Matrix, you realize there are certain rules and certain structures, and I'm starting to notice that you could bend reality. You could actually manifest whatever you want. You could create whatever you want. It's like the universe now is working for me. But the question I that goes around in my brain is it a single player? Is it a multiplayer? I recently did a psychedelic assisted therapy. It was sassafras to open up the heart, MDMA to
Nice.
open up the heart, and then 3 shots of
Wow. That's a interesting program.
vision of
Ah,
you're remembering and forgetting, and that is where you are. And the only way of me getting out of that loop was to actually connect to my
yeah.
starting to think now, is this some kind of sick prison that we put ourselves in?
Yeah.
Which then leads us to the next question. Is there a game? Like, what is the game? Why are we in the simulation? What is the point? And every game has a mission. What is the actual ultimate mission?
Spent I pretty much every third in this work, these four elements of consciousness, and the fifth element as well, being your soul or your spirit that's actually in the with the VR headset on. But these four elements of consciousness, interestingly enough, is going to thrive, is going to need to consider this, and certainly it scales down all the way to us as individuals. These are things that, working with myself or my clients or whomever, these are fundamental elemental aspects, each other delusional, but they're all seeking God, which to me represents that moment of like epiphany, like, got it, I'm here, I've arrived. And that's that fifth element, etheric nature. So none of them have
Mm.
gotten to God, but they're equally suspicious of each other, and they're working equally hard in their own ways. And one day they're together in a storm, and they have to escape the storm, and the embodied yogi knows the terrain, so he brings them to safety. And he, waiting out the storm, God appears, and they're all thinking the same thing. Why now? I've worked so hard to develop my intellect, my body, my emotions, my energy body, and you've never appeared once, but now in the middle of a storm. And God, God said to them, "It took this long to get you four idiots together." Um, so in this work, these elements are what I work with. Is the mandala medicine wheels. They all they all have the same simple psychic structure. It represents the four parts of our brain: left and right prefrontal cortex, left and right hemisphere. Functionally speaking, they each bring in some important bit of experience. And when the four come together, that's when you have this holotropic presence of self, the God within awakens, and you go, okay, I get it. So when my clients are stuck in their head, or when they're stuck in their emotionality, or when they're stuck in their physicality, or even their spiritual inclinations, the goal is always the same: bring all of those elements together so that you can get beyond them, and they serve to show you something bigger. And that's when we have these psychedelic experiences where we have this confluence all at once. It's hyper real. And we say, oh my God, there's so much more than this that we see. And the real work is like, well, what do we do with that? So in that sense, I see the single player game is, I get what you're saying. And in spiritual reality, paradox is king. So yes, it's a single player game and it's a multiplayer game. The two can coexist, and it's not. Paradox does not mean that there's a logical fallacy. It means that the miss the grandeur of this single human experience, as mundane as it might seem. It's a miracle in itself, and it is a high level simulation. It is amazing. I mean, we're actually creating simulators within the simulation back for each other, to remember
Mm.
that this is what we do, and all these interwebs of other these multidimensional realities we're coexisting in simultaneously. And this one particularly, I think it's in desperate need of our consciousness and our ability to see each other and be aware that despite all odds, we're showing up to help bring in a better world for this dimension.
Yeah, so many different things, but you have to look at the common thread, and you realize it is in 7-year chunks. Now, Siddhartha, is that the book, the boatman? He is a book written in the 1920s or something like that about a man who goes through all these phases and goes through all these chapters in his life, gaining these experiences, and at the end, he's just a boatman, like ferrying people across from one side to the other, telling we are in the game and let's play, let's have fun. There's all these different parts of reality that we all got to master. I believe a person who created the Atari first computer games, he said the game's got to be easy to play but hard to master.
Like the glass bead game, yes.
Exactly. Yeah. So I feel that is the that's the thing. So I would love to know the final question. What are the cheat codes for those hidden tricks, hidden gems? If we're in that hero's journey, like there is your mentor.
A very challenging one. And that's why you really need a way to understand how to navigate or psycho-navigate this reality. But everything you could possibly need is already here. It's in this moment. And the only place that you can achieve the level of ascension or master, get to that pearl, to get to the end when you're in the game. On the other hand, when things do come up that are going to get in your way, those things are not irrelevant. They're not outside of the program. They're actually
I am in this version of Shaft is I've got 3 herniated discs, 2 in my back, one in my 2 in my neck, 1 in my back. Magic love maker. I am really amazing using my body. I just don't stretch. I love getting jacked. I love being in my body. I just don't see the point of stretching. So now it's all hit me at 44 years young with my line of work with the Shaft show. And this is also where it's needed the most. So, I believe in that. I also believe the word is a really powerful cheat code. Like the cheat code that I use is I love my life, I love my body, I love myself, and I love making 10 grand a day. And I never used to love my life or my body or myself. I suffered from depression and alcoholism and all the other great things that help you become a mentally insane person. But then I did find out the opposite of everything that I was saying to myself and embodied it and changed my whole life around so it could actually be more focused in something that is the opposite of my biggest fears, the opposite of my deepest pains. So having this, knowing your pain is one thing, knowing that there is an opposite of it is the other. And then instead of living that world, you could live this world. And in every moment, you get to discipline the mind to focus on this. So the ultimate cheat code is this, this, and this. You could direct all your energy to the heaven you want to live in or the hell you put yourself in.
It's so smart. It's so easy to get drawn into the drama, especially when there's pain signals involved, whether they're physical, emotional, spiritual, or mental. They're all when you're DJing for a crowd of people and you feel that experience. That was really the opening. Was London? What makes us any single player game exciting is that the multiplayer experience. If you look at my son's 12 now. I'd be really cool. I think we're getting close to that as well. And then I said to him, I was like, and imagine that you're already doing that. Because we are. We're like Carl Jung's idea of personal archetypes versus universal archetypes, right? Yeah, your personal archetypal experience, super duper important. It's vital because it's yours. And that is not just good for you, it's good for all of us. When you have this experience, you're actually doing more than just doing it as a personal venture. As you're showing right now, you're sharing your experience with the world. So that becomes a part of everyone's experience. And that's where I think it gets lovely, where we are. You cannot, no conscious studies persons, no matter what if they're coming at it from mathematics or physics or from mysticism, they all agree to the same thing. yet we're doing so in a way that has to be in harmony. Every lung cell has to be harmonizing with all the other lung cells, even though it's running its own program of the synapses and the connection with others running before it becomes a party.
I found the meaning of life. Like I was doing an ancient tantric practice called yoni gazing. You look into a vagina and you ask it questions. I mean, that vagina obviously, because something's going to happen. And through that, there's collaboration, just like what we're doing. We're sharing about our wisdom, our knowledge, all of our things to, entertain, but also educate other people. We're just sharing who we are. And then through that, we're serving humanity with our unique gifts, and through that, we have global impact. So this is what I love. And,
wow, that's perfect.
It's super fun, right? So I'd love to know if there's one final piece on how to find you, and where you are in the world. How can the Shaft Show audience find you and work with you?
I love it. Well, I have a site my sister just put up, as I once indicated. It's called solab.org, kind of bringing that consciousness in and that way of navigating your unique approach to reality to help you navigate in the way that is an understanding that all major mystical traditions and spiritual traditions have brought it forward and honors, sort of a distillation of that.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
thank you very much, Kelly, for this beautiful
Absolutely.
little love stream, as I like to call these.
I love it.
Cheat codes. These are the cheat codes. You
I
just keep
love
on
it.
doing it. So, everybody, thank you very much. Thank you, Kelly, and
Thank you.
see
So,
you.
what a
See you on
pleasure.
the. Thank you. See you all on the next episode of the Shaft Show.